seems like the whole world has turned against Dark Void. It has received really negative reviews almost everywhere, and it to me at least it seemed kind of weird because this was a game that had quite a lot of positive hype before the first review started hitting the internet. But you've been playing it. Is it really as bad as people seem to think?
I'm actually gonna stand here, be proud, and say no.
Okay, explain yourself.
Well, first of all, just what Dark Void is kind of an action adventure game. It's kind of like Gears of War meets Uncharted meets Rocketeer.
Yeah.
If anyone out there remember the old movie or comic book
the Rocketeer.
The old Amiga game. So it's kind of divided into two parts. It's either you're doing this cover shooting thing, and kind of like it feels quite a lot like the fighting in Uncharted, or you're flying around on your jetpack up in the air.
Okay.
And it kind of mixes between those two.
Let's start out with the cover shooting though. Is it any good? Because I guess a lot of people can relate to games like Gears of War and Uncharted.
Yeah, it's functional. It's kind of like mostly like Uncharted 2 actually. It works. It's a lot of line fire and a lot of one button jumping around, stuff like that. But what they have in here as well is what they like to call the vertical shooting, which is either you're climbing up walls firing, taking cover, holding from ledges, or downwards, where you're shooting down and taking a step back to take cover behind the ledge that way. And this is kind of where they try to mix it up. And that part actually works pretty well. It's kind of a cool thing. The scope of the game is so big that often it's huge, like tall mountains, so often you get that sense of vertigo. The camera, looking around, you get a bit dizzy, and I think that kind of works. And so, well, I wouldn't say it's the best system in the world. They don't have the kind of money that Naughty Dog does, for example, or that Epic does, but absolutely, it works. It's fun. Amazingly enough, the camera and everything like that, which usually can get quite bad in with lower budget games, works really well, and so functional. I'd call that.
The main thing of the whole game though, the rocketeering gameplay, how cool is it? Because it looks awesome.
It is really awesome. I really like that part of the game. I have so much fun. It's really epic feeling. You can fly around. You have automatic weapons on your jetpack, of course. So you can fire on the more or less flying saucers you're fighting against. You can grab hold of them and hijack them and and fly the enemy ships, and that's a lot of fun actually. The controls in the beginning are a bit fidgety, and it's hard to get them to do exactly what you want, but once you've learned, it's like they're second nature. You're gonna do spins and rolls and loops and
look cool while doing it.
And look really cool. Also very important is that the graphics engine is good. It looks good. The game in general, and especially when you fly around like mountains and into canyons and stuff like that. It really works. So that part is probably where I had the most fun. Well, I can say that even though I don't agree with the fact that Dark Void in any way would be a bad game, I can say I understand where the criticism comes from, because a lot of people will probably not enjoy Dark Void. First of all, the mix between flying, because flying is the funniest part, they kind of mix that up with a bit too much of the cover system. It balances between those two. Personally, I think it's kind of a good mix that they got the balance right, but I think for a lot of people that's a problem. Also in Dark Void, it gets repetitive. Even though there are, in theory, a lot of different enemy types, they kind of all look the same.
You started out saying that this is not as bad a game as the rest of the world would have most people believe. So is this a game that you would actually go as far as to recommend?
I hate getting into these kind of consumer tips, pros and cons. Would I buy Dark Void for full price? No, absolutely not. Would I buy it at bargain price? Yes, I would. That's kind of it's a fun game. a lot of hate has been directed towards Dark Void, and I think that's completely unnecessary, because I think it's a fun game. I'm having a really good time playing it. I'm just doing those rolls and spins, and even on the ground combat, I'm having a good time. I think that I will look back at this console generation, and Dark Void would be one of those games where I can say, yeah, I played it, yeah, I had fun, but I won't be able to remember it like I would, for example, Gears of War or Uncharted 2.